Welcome to another Fascinator episode from Hat Collecting. On the talk show, we take a big picture look at the guest's life and story, and here we take a magnifying glass and we learn about something more specific. I am your host, Lacey Artemis, and it is time to get fascinated. I am joined today by Romina Kwong, who is the founder and lead consultant of Eco-Friendly Events. So we are going to talk today about one of the main things that your company does, greening events, amongst other things. So the question I always like to start with on this show, what do you personally think is the most fascinating thing about greening events or greening spaces or just kind of greening stuff in general?
There's so many answers to that. And I think it starts with, what do people care about? So who is it, you as an individual? Like, what do you care about when it comes to the environment? What do the clients care about? And then being able to find a creative solution that fits within their budget, so it's realistic, that we can implement. And that's always the most exciting part for me.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly when you start your own business, usually it's something you're very, very passionate about, as I am with this show as well. So what is an aspect of the process that you thought might be harder or more daunting kind of before you really got into it, and now you look back and say that's actually not that big of a deal?
Honestly, starting the business in general, and the confidence to say, yes, I'm an expert at this, I know things about this. I think it was just all of the overwhelm, which, I think comes in and out. It's not just at the beginning. It still comes up with imposter syndrome. But yeah, just getting started and having the confidence to do that and just do it, put it out in the world.
How long have you been running this business for now?
I started it in 2019, so just before the pandemic.
Yes. Okay. So just a little bit before this project was conceived itself. What was kind of the first year like versus the second year, sort of so far?
Definitely the first year was figuring out like what my offerings were going to be and what they were going to look like, just because there's not a lot of people who do what I do, at least in the Toronto area. And the next year, it was just figuring out what I was going to do without in-person events. What am I going to do to carry this business forward? Because I've always, like the name Eco-Friendly Events, I was focused on one industry, and that industry was heavily impacted. There are some things you can do, obviously, with digital or virtual events, but it's not quite the same as in person when you have all these things going on. So yeah, the 1 year is just figuring out like what it is that I'm offering. I've gained clarity since then, been able to take that time to do that, and then figuring out that word pivot for the last year or so, and figuring out how I was going to help businesses and kind of keep the momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that the pandemic was definitely disruptive to everyone in some sense, but I think some businesses, it was kind of a positive thing because it meant that you when you're faced with challenges, it sort of forces you to innovate or find better efficiencies or things like that. So I know a few people that have kind of taken advantage of that. So the next question here, what is your top eco-friendly tip that has done you the most good or is the most widely applicable?
The 3 R's. To give a little bit of a background, the 3 R's is actually a hierarchy. So it's not just pick one R and go with it. So the first thing is reducing. So reducing the amount of things that you're buying, questioning why you need it in the first place. If you need to buy it new, can you get it secondhand? Can you borrow it? And then it's reusing. So how long can you use that item for? Can you reuse it over and over again? Or is it sort of like your takeout container where you usually just use it once and then toss it? And then finally is recycling. So the first 2 R's and focusing on those two that everybody has access to.
Yeah, I remember learning that for the first time actually during the pandemic from a former roommate. And that totally makes sense. But yeah, it's presented to us as this these things that are together, that you do all of them at once. But really, we do need to learn to rethink. What do you wish that more people would ask you about in the eco-friendly realm?
How can I support or join the movement? That is a question I wish people ask me more often. I think a lot of the things that I get, or comments and things that I get, is like, oh, that's so cool what you're doing. We definitely need that. But it's it can't just be me alone. It has to be all of us collectively working together, whether it's in the same way that I'm doing it or in your own way, or how you can make impact in your own day-to-day. It's how can I do better and how can I support this movement?
Absolutely. And we will get some tips on that in a moment. But kind of, I guess, tracing back to an earlier question, for the people that you have worked with thus far, what is maybe something that has surprised them the most about what you do, or things that you've shown them, or things that you've told them?
Just raising awareness for things that they didn't even think about. Like when I did that workshop with Make Lemonade and a couple other groups as well, is your digital impact. Like nobody thinks about their digital impact or digital footprint. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it's virtual, like it's fine. And it's like, you just like plug your device in, or you use the internet and you don't think about what happens behind the scenes. But there's so much going on, and especially in the last 18 months when we have been completely virtual, there's impact there. There's impact about like the data centers and stuff like that, but also just, I like to point out the small things that we can all do. And I think that's the most surprising thing, whether it's with my clients or other people that I've shared information with, is here's like a few takeaways that you can start doing today that aren't going to be difficult or uproot your whole life and cause you to change your entire diet or anything like that. And I think that's what I love doing and what I'm pretty good at.
Very cool. It reminds me a few, well, I guess more than a few years back now, but I went through a big documentary kick back in some of my college days, and I remember watching this one documentary that was called No Impact Man. I don't know if you have seen that one.
I have not seen it, no.
But yeah, it kind of centered around this person, this man, and his family had a wife and a daughter, and he took on this like year-long mission to try to basically make his entire life carbon neutral. And like his wife, I think, had been this like, getting like lattes every day, and like just kind of a lot of like habits that were very ungreen. And they like kind of completely transformed it. And that again also kind of put some of these awarenesses in my mind, which I appreciated, and I've slowly tried to incorporate more of them over the years. But yeah, I had something else I was thinking of, and I've lost the thought. So, yeah. So I guess one of the other questions that I usually ask is if people want to, a quick, immediate thing, if they want to get involved in this space or learn more, like they can certainly reach out to you. But are there any higher level organizations or like online groups or pages that people might be able to go and find if they want to start being more active in those discussions?
Yeah, there's definitely like a few. The David Suzuki website, obviously, he is a wealth of knowledge, and he has tons of resources on his website. There's also the Eco Hub. Candace is based in Toronto as well, and she has a huge blog with a ton of local resources as well. It's hard for me to say which organizations to choose and pick from, because I don't want to tell you which one. I want you to find one that aligns with you and your values, especially when it comes to sustainability. Like if it's someone more local, is it someone like abroad? There's so many organizations doing great things, and I would rather you figure out what matters to you in the eco-friendly realm and then find an organization that aligns with that.
Right on. That sounds like very good advice there. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to share a thought or two on?
I think just in general, when it comes to sustainability, is taking it one item, one action at a time. Like you said, Lacey, you've been able to accumulate things over the years and like develop new habits, and that's where it starts, right? For me, it was period products. It was going from like pads to plastic applicator tampons to cardboard to no applicator to menstrual cups. Like it was years of process for me to get where I am, and then now developing newer habits and self-compassion, like having that self-compassion that you're not always going to be perfect. There are times when I worked on events and I've ordered takeout every night and bought coffee every day. and then I try and do better the next time or be more prepared. And so, yeah, having that self-compassion and just taking it one action and one habit at a time.
I feel like I don't know if this already exists, but I feel like something that could be extremely useful for people who are like very brand new to this. So like, because I know there's people out there who think of it, but it's like when you don't know very much, you don't know where to start. It can be kind of overwhelming and daunting. And if there was kind of just like a little 5-minute handbook that you could kind of read to just give you some, like, if you drink coffee, here's a suggestion. If you do this, here's a suggestion. And something like that people could just kind of absorb really quickly and easily to kind of get them started somewhere. I feel like that sort of thing would be a really great resource. I don't know if you know if anything like that exists right
There's
now.
definitely a few like books. There's like, or like Plastic Free July is a really good organization to start as well. They tackle obviously specifically plastic, but I don't think there's like all encompassing. I think to kind of like backpack off that is just picking that one item you want to change. So for me, it was period products. For somebody else, it might be their coffee cup. It might be their takeout container. So pick the item that matters to you that you want to change first, and then Google that. So don't Google like eco-friendly lifestyle or like how to be more eco-friendly. It's just like, what's an eco-friendly alternative to X item?
Yeah, I just actually remembered when something you said there reminded me. A friend of mine showed me this book. It's like it's an illustrated book, and it's called Poor Craft, but I think a better name for it would be Frugal Craft. But it touches on a lot of those same ideas of like just making the most of a little bit, and how to like make your own home cleaning products so that you don't get those super chemically stuff that comes in the plastic containers, and a bunch of other like suggestions in there, like going to thrift stores and things like that. And I think that's a one that people can. It's not quite a little, like a 5-minute handbook, but it's something that can also help you get started. So I'll put a picture of that up on the screen for the viewers so that they know what to look for. Yeah. Any other parting thoughts?
I don't think so. I think always strive to do better and don't feel bad when you can't.
That is great advice. Yeah, so at this point, we'll wrap up with some plugs, and I always let the guests go first. Feel free to share your website, your socials, anything else that you want people to check out of yours.
To find out more information about me and my business, you can head to ecofriendlyevents.ca. And I actually have a free eco-friendly party planning guide. So for anybody who's planning their own event, whether it's small or large, I have a ton of tips there to help you rethink some of the items like the paper plates or the plastic forks, so that you can have an eco-friendlier gathering in future.
Excellent. And your socials, I believe, are all linked from your website, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it goes these days, I think. Yeah, you can find this show online at hatcollecting.com and at hatcollecting on social media. You can find me at artemiscreates.com, and I have a Patreon, which is under Artemis Creates, which if you want to help support this show and get bonus content, that's where you can do that. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends to help the show grow and keep the fascination flowing. Until next time, look forward to your next fascination.